Today we're going to look at the MGC ECS configurator for the QX-MINI and Secutron AutoMax emergency communication systems designed for small to medium-sized applications. There are multiple ways to build a job in the ECS configurator. This configurator supports drag and drop and a more traditional method through the wizard by clicking on the Edit Job icon. Let's begin by creating a job using the drag and drop method. Click on the New Job icon and a new job window will appear. Here we can name the job, set a unique password, define the paging inhibit delay in seconds, define the interpanel RS-45 wiring as either Class A or B, configure the pre-tone setting, and disable the trouble buzzer. Below we can enable the automatic gain compensation for paging and message playback. We can also enable digitized messages to continue playing after paging interrupt. Below we can add comments or notes in the comments section, define the SLC type, use these radio buttons to select the SLC type for compatible fire alarm control panels and select OK. The job field will be populated with the master panel. Here we can zoom in and out using the scroll wheel on your mouse, using the pinch and spread gesture, and the two-finger up and down scroll on a trackpad. We can open and close any panel door by clicking on the white arrow and sliding to the left to open and right to close. We can also right-click on the panel to reveal a context menu with which we can select Open and Close Panel's Door. With the panel open, we can add a second amplifier or a splitter by selecting it on the Components menu and dragging it onto the main board. A plus sign will appear when the amp or splitter is in the correct location. The Edit Amplifier window will appear, and here we can enter the amplifier's tag, set the voltage to either 25 or 70 volts, and define the type as secondary or backup. You can also perform the same actions by right-clicking on a blank spot in the panel to bring up the context menu where you can change the panel's name, remove a secondary amplifier or splitter, and remove batteries. We can add the optional QAZT5302DS to the main panel by selecting it in the Components menu and dragging it onto the door. Zooming in on the main display, if we double-click on a switch, we can add tags. By right-clicking on a switch, we can bring up a context menu that allows us to change the font, text, background, and border color, insert an image, or assign a paging inhibit to the switch. Zooming out and right-clicking on the panel, we can bring up a menu that allows us to remove the QAZT5302DS, print the tags that we've entered on the switches of the main display, and the 24-switch display adder. We can add speakers and strobes to the configuration by dragging and dropping from the Components menu until a plus sign appears. To add speakers, drag and drop from the Components menu onto the amplifiers. To add more speakers or strobes to an existing circuit, drag and drop a speaker or strobe onto that circuit. By now, you have seen wires between speakers and strobes in your job. You can customize the look and add comments or labels to each wire separately. Right-click on a wire to bring up the context menu. To add a booster panel to your job, locate the booster icon in the Components menu, drag and drop onto the work area. You can move the booster around by left-clicking and holding for 1 second, and then dragging the panel to a more desirable location. To add a remote microphone or local operating console, locate the icon in the Components menu and drag and drop onto the master panel and release when the plus sign appears. Locate the Zones pane on the left side of your screen and right-click inside to create a new zone. Add a tag and click OK. Right-clicking on the newly created zone brings up a context menu where we can assign correlation to NACs or amplifier circuits, assign the zone to a switch, remove the zone, and activate the zone. We can also add devices to a zone by left-clicking on the device and holding for 1 second, dragging and dropping the device onto an existing zone in the Zones column. We can easily assign a zone to switches by dragging and dropping the zone from the Zones pane to the desired switch on the master panel. A plus sign will appear. To simulate a zone activation from a switch, simply click on the switch with the zone assignment. This will visually demonstrate which circuits are activated. Alternatively, we can right-click on the zone in the Zones pane for the context menu and select Activate Zone. To create or edit audio messages, click on the Edit Audio icon. The ECS configurator comes with 20 built-in clips to create custom messages. In the library, we can import, record, or create messages from the text-to-speech function. Import allows you to import a pre-recorded audio file from your PC. Record opens up the audio recorder where you can select the input device and record a custom message. The text-to-speech button opens up the dialog which allows you to create a custom message by entering text in the sentence window. You can preview the message with the play button and adjust the speed and pitch parameters to your liking. Once you import, record, or create a custom message from the text-to-speech, it will appear in the library and the job audio window. We can transfer the newly created messages or any of the built-in messages to the message composition window by highlighting the message and selecting the right arrow button. Once a message is in the composition window, here we can create a tag, configure the stage, and the amount of repeats. The import and export clips buttons are used to transfer your custom message and/or clip library from one job to another. I am now going to create a custom message in this composition window. I will import a custom audio message followed by a silence and then a slow whoop. In this message, I will require 300 milliseconds of silence between the audio and the slow whoop. I will configure the silence to repeat 3 times. I have sent my stage to manual emergency and repeat forever is checked. Click the Create button to save the composition and close. Using the Edit Job function in the configurator allows for further configuration options for the QX-MINI or Oddmax. At the bottom in the Panels window, we can add, edit, or delete booster panels. By default, the master panel is already populated, and by highlighting the master and selecting Edit, the panel wizard opens. Here we can tag the panel, set the panel type, add a 24 or 48 zone selector, set the AC loss delay, adjust the microphone gain, enable or disable the battery charger, and disable NAC operation during all-call. If we click Next, we are then greeted with the Amplifiers window where we can add, edit, and delete amplifiers. To add a secondary amplifier, we click the Add button and we can edit the tag, define the voltage, and set the type as secondary or backup. Next in the panel wizard is the QAS 2x8 splitter window. Here we can add, delete a splitter from each panel defined in the job. Next are the monitoring points in the wizard. Here we can set addresses to monitor, signal silence, AC trouble, paging message active, common trouble, ground fault, and battery charger trouble. Below we can define if the panel is operating in single or two-stage, set the signaling or protocol type, as well as follow sync input. By clicking Next, we can add a remote microphone and LOCs and define their priority as either first come, first serve, or by address. In the last page of the wizard, we can add, edit, and delete zones. Personally, I like to add and correlate zones in the Zones pane. SLC, relay, and sync input correlations. To add input correlations, click on the panel inputs icon in the menu bar and the correlation window will appear. Here we can click on the plus sign to add correlations to panel inputs on the SLC, relay, and sync inputs. If you do not have SLC type enabled, you will be limited to relay and sync inputs. If you do have SLC enabled, you can create an input address which corresponds to a supervised output module in the fire alarm control panel to activate a zone and corresponding message. Please note that the panel inputs can be prioritized by moving them up or down with the arrows, with the lowest being at the bottom of the list and the highest at the top. To connect the configurator to a panel, plug in the USB Type-B port into the female port on the bottom left of the main board. Ensure the Type-A end is connected to your computer. Click Connect and a window displaying a serial port will open. Please ensure that it is populated and click OK. Once a connection is established, the Connect icon will become a Disconnect icon, and the configurator will report the firmware version of the panel. Please note, to send a job or configuration to a network system, the job must be sent to each panel individually. To perform a Get Job, connect to the master panel and select Get Job. Choose a location and name to save the job and click OK. Please note that the action only needs to be performed at the master panel. Firmware updates must be performed on all panels individually. Connect to the panel and select the firmware update icon. A list of firmware built into the configurator will be listed in a pop-up window. If your firmware is not listed and is located on your computer, highlight the custom firmware and select Upgrade. Browse to the desired S19 firmware file on your computer and click the Upgrade button. By clicking the report icon in the menu bar, a report is generated listing general information for the job, the correlations, device count if applicable, and tags and correlations to the switches on the main display. The trouble report icon is used when there is a common trouble reporting on the master panel, and you do not know which panel in the network it is being generated from. Connect to the master panel and select Trouble Report icon, and a trouble report will be generated with the location and circuit in trouble. We have just looked at the MGC ECS configurator. Thanks for watching.